from stories across the world to stories here at home. This is the National News Broadcaster. Very good evening to you. I'm Nitya Sarchandra.
Very good evening indeed. I'm Charity Prarachi. And now let's move on to the headlines for tonight's news.
MP Ranil Wickramasinghe back to party leadership. The faction including MP Sajith Premadasa has boycotted the working committee meeting. 4 senior members removed from the committee. World Health Organization prepares to declare a global emergency state over the novel coronavirus. Central Bank of Sri Lanka reduces its policy interest rates. A stock of heroin weighing at 192 kilograms taken into custody.
Now in your top story this evening, former members of the Working Committee of the United National Party have not been selected for the year 2020 Working Committee of the party. Parliamentarian Sarath Fonseca and Ajit P. Pereira, Colombo Mayor Rosi Senanaika and Imtiaz Bakir Makar are the members who have not been reinstated into the committee. These 4 members have directly represented the faction of parliamentarians. Sajith Premadasa, a group including MPs Sajith Premadasa, boycotted the meeting in protest of the removal of the 4 members into the working committee. General Secretary of the United National Party, Akhila Viraj Karyavasam, said that the decision to remove MP Ajit P. Pereira was taken into consideration after the complaints made by other working committee members to the leader of the party over his behaviour and actions which violate the disciplinary code of the party. He said that necessary discussions will be held in this regard and take necessary action on the need. He said that many complaints were made against him for his statements in the past.
And meanwhile, no decision has been taken over the party leadership during the working committee meeting of the United National Party today. General Secretary of the United National Party, Akhila Viraj Karyavasam, said the opposition leader Sajith Premadasa was nominated for the premiership candidacy and the leadership of the front. The working committee meeting was convened at the party headquarters under the patronage of party leader Ranil Wickramasinghe. Parliamentarians Malik Samaravikrama, Mangala Samaravira and Rajitha Senaratne and many other UNP MPs took part in the discussion. Reports have indicated that 35 working committee members, including parliamentarian Sajith Premadasa, have boycotted the meeting. 59 members have been elected for the working committee for the year 2020. Thus far, parliamentarian Akhila Viraj Karyavasam stated that 37 members of the working committee took part in the meeting. He added that 6 others have informed via official notices of the unavailability of their meetings. He said that 16 members had failed to participate in the meeting without a prior notice. Parliamentarian Sajith Premadasa has been given the chairmanship of the nomination board for the upcoming general elections. It was proposed to appoint an individual who is not a member of parliamentarians Sajith Premadasa or Ranil Wickramasinghe's factions for the General Secretary post of the new front. The nomination of parliamentarian Premadasa was made to the premiership candidacy and the leadership of the new front, although he had not attended the working committee meeting. General Secretary of United National Party Akhila Viraj Karyavasam said that a decision has been reached to hand over the leadership of the committee to guide the election campaign, which will be formed after carrying out discussions with the other leaders of the party. He said the decision has been reached after considering the messages received from the allies of MP Premadasa.
Now, 7,000 people are being confined to a cruise ship docked in Italy as a couple is being tested for the Wuhan coronavirus, while Russia is closing off its border with China to stem the spread of the outbreak. Now, the death toll from the coronavirus outbreak has risen to 170, and a confirmed case in Tibet means it has reached every region in mainland China. Fears are growing that the virus, which originated in the Chinese city of Wuhan in December, has since spread to 20 other countries and territories, could spread even further. The number of cases in mainland China shot up by 30% in just a day, reaching more than 7,700. Infections have also spread to at least 15 other countries. More than 100 people have been infected outside mainland China in places across Asia, North America, Europe and the Middle East, with India and the Philippines Philippines, the latest to confirm the virus had reached their shores. Most concerning instances of human-to-human transmission have been reported overseas, including in Germany, the first such case in Europe. The World Health Organization will meet later today again to consider whether the virus constitutes a global health emergency. Meanwhile, in Russia, state media reported Thursday that Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin had signed an order to close Russia's border with China in the Far East in an effort to prevent the spread of the virus. Voluntary evacuations of hundreds of foreign nationals from Wuhan are underway to help people who want to leave off the closed city and return to their countries.
And senior epidemiologist of the epidemiology unit of the health ministry, specialist Dr. Sudat Samaravira, says that the Chinese national who is contradicted with the novel coronavirus in Sri Lanka is currently recovering from the disease. The specialist doctor said that any other patient with infection is yet to be reported in the country. Specialist Dr. Anand Vijay Vikram of the Infectious Disease Hospital insisted that the public should not be alarmed or create an unnecessary fear over the disease. Sri Lankan citizens living in China have arrived to the country last night and this morning. 488 Sri Lankans have arrived to the country. Thus far, another 61 Sri Lankan citizens expected to arrive in the country this evening. A letter was handed over to the Sri Lankan office of the United Nations
with their family members.
Today requesting to bring down the 33 Sri Lankan students.
We are addressing certain issues that have been brought to our notice, and also we are constantly in touch with the Foreign Ministry of China as well as the Hubei Foreign Affairs Office. We have told the officers and the government officials to look after the welfare of the Sri Lanka students. As of our request, certain matters have been addressed. As of now, we hear the students of Sri Lankans have gone to buy certain items from the supermarkets, and also we understand that these area supermarkets and other shops as well as pharmacies are opened, and the people were able to buy the essential items. With regard to bringing these children to Sri Lanka, we are working on it, and we hope that we will get a response very soon. And as soon as we get the response, we will inform to the students we are ready, and they will be brought back to Sri Lanka.
A letter was handed over to the Sri Lankan office of the United Nations today requesting to bring down the 33 Sri Lankan students trapped in the epicenter of the disease, Wuhan city. The parents of the children and another group handed over the letter to the UN office. Workers in Chinese companies in Hubei province have been informed by the Sri Lankan embassy in China to refrain from visiting Sri Lankans until further notice. The embassy has also informed the people arriving from other provinces and other cities to China to undertake a minimum of 14-day quarantine period in Sri Lanka. The embassy has further indicated that the Sri Lankans need not to be feared over the arrival of Chinese nationals after the Lunar New Year in China. A media briefing was held today regarding the precautionary measures taken up at the Katunak International Airport to avert the spread of the novel coronavirus today.
ආරක්ෂා විය යුතු කියලා ගෙවල් වලට ගියාම
Minister Bandara Gunawardena said that a special attention has been directed to conduct a complete test on the passengers arriving to the country via flights. Minister Bandara Gunawardena said that between 25 to 33 students are currently in Wuhan city. He said that the students have been safeguarded and kept in the hostel of the university. He added that Sri Lankan ambassador in China has resolved the issue of the students which they underwent in the initial days of the lockdown. He said that all arriving visitors and Sri Lankans will be thoroughly examined upon their arrival. Senior epidemiologist of the Epidemiology Unit of the Health Ministry, Specialist Dr. Sudat Samaravira, made remarks on the control of the spread of the coronavirus. Specialist Dr. Sudat Samaravira said that the first suspect case of novel coronavirus was identified as a result of the implemented mechanism to identify such cases within the first 2 to 3 weeks. He said that adequate awareness have been carried out to identify such cases and procedures which should be taken in the aftermath. In a statement issued by the Ministry of Foreign Relations, Foreign Secretary Ravinatha Arya Singha has said the Chinese government expediting the request made for special aircraft landing in Wuhan city, allowing the evacuation of Sri Lankan students. He said that the embassy in Beijing is in communication with the relevant authorities in China. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa recently informed the relevant authorities to take necessary action for the repatriation of the Sri Lankan students.
Now, the Government Medical Officers Association says that the need to wear a face mask is yet to transpire under the present situation in the country. The association made these remarks at a media briefing held in Colombo in this regard. Secretary to the Government Medical Officers Association, Dr. Haritha Attuge, said that doctors are yet to advise face masks for the general public. He said that if the general public continues to use face masks, a shortage of face masks may occur in the country and the country will be in a crisis situation if the doctors advise this. He said that the public should act accordingly to the right instructions given out by the doctors without creating any panic in the country. He said that the Health Ministry has initiated a price control over the selling of face masks. He also suggested that authorities should take stern action against racketeers for continuing on the sale of face masks for higher price rates.
And meanwhile, the governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Professor W.D. Lakshman, says the country's economic growth expected to exceed 4% this year compared to 2.6% in the previous year. He briefed that the predicted economic growth set to occur with the improved business confidence resulted in the political stability in the country. The central bank governor made these remarks at a monetary policy review meeting held at the central bank premises today. The Monetary Board of Sri Lankan Central Bank has decided to relax monetary policies and reduce policy interest rates, aiming to boost economic growth and stabilize inflation at mid-single-digit levels. Accordingly, the standing deposit facility rate and the standing lending facility rate has been reduced by 50 basis points to 6.50% and 7.50% respectively. Statutory reserve ratio will remain unchanged at 5.0%. The continued reduction in market lending rates thereby expects to facilitate the envisaged recovery in the economic activity given to the favorable medium-term outlook for inflation, which is well anchored within the 4 to 6% range.
The Monetary Board has decided to reduce the policy interest rates of the central bank by 50 basis points. This action by the Monetary Board is intended to affirm its accommodative monetary policy stance and also cause a further reduction in the cost of funds faced by financial institutions, thereby allowing them to pass the benefit of reduced cost of funds to the economy. The board took into consideration several macroeconomic developments in making this decision. On the inflation front, the recent acceleration of inflation, particularly at the national level, has been a concern. However, there were several factors to suggest that this acceleration in inflation is going to be short-lived. This acceleration was caused by food inflation rather than any overheating of the economy. Domestic supply conditions are already gradually improving. CCPI-based inflation has continued to remain within the 4 to 6% range, which we are targeting. Core inflation, which better reflects demand conditions, has decelerated. Projections indicate that inflation is well anchored at envisaged levels. Growth has remained subdued. Economic growth in 2019 is likely to be around 2.6%. There has been a notable improvement in business confidence caused by political stability and targeted measures taken by authorities to boost demand. With these developments, growth is likely to start going up and will exceed, we predict, 4% in 2020. Credit to the private sector has gradually commenced expanding. Revival in confidence and revival in economic activity, fiscal measures, the credit relief package, declining interest rates will help sustain the acceleration of credit growth over time. Although market lending rates are generally on a declining path, there were several indicators that the decline was slowing down. The lending rates should continue to decline, and this was a key factor that supported the decision of the board this time. The global economic conditions have been subdued. Many advanced and emerging market economies have maintained accommodative monetary policies to address growth concerns. There are renewed uncertainties on global economic activity with the spread of the coronavirus, which has already caused some disruptions to tourism industries and resulted in volatility in currency and commodity markets. There has been notable improvements in the external current account in spite of various disruptions that the country faced in 2019. The exchange rate has remained stable in 2019 as well as in January 2020. External sector conditions will be monitored closely and managed with appropriate measures of macroprudential, fiscal and monetary measures.
Now, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa says that all necessary steps have been taken to eradicate illegal narcotics in the country. The Prime Minister made these remarks while taking part in the unveiling ceremony of the pinnacle of the pagoda at Bauddha Mandiraya in Moratuwa. Mahasangha, including Venerable Gampola Sudan Naji Naikathera and Chairman of the Sri Lanka Podujana Perumana G.L. Pires were present at the occasion. Addressing the gathering, the Prime Minister said that the prevailing situation in the country should be looked at in a more sensitive manner. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa said that illegal drugs have begun to gradually affect the country completely at present. He said that many of the youth in the society began to be addicted to such substances in the recent past. He said that the police have been able to apprehend 150 kilograms of heroin in the Horana area. The Premier said that the police have been informed to take stern action on the prevention of illegal narcotics to safeguard the younger generation. He said that the parents should be more vigilant over their children from a younger age. If not, the Prime Minister said the society as well as the nation will continue to deteriorate.
And meanwhile, a stock of heroin weighing 192 kilograms was taken into custody from Bandaragama area today. The police has raised suspicion on an individual named Kalom Indika alias Kauma, closest ally of organized crime gang leader Makadure Madhus, for smuggling the stock of heroin. The suspect, who is an organized heroin smuggler, is currently in Mahara prison. The highest number of firearms recorded for the first time in history along with heroin was taken into custody at this occasion. A special police squad apprehended 15 kilograms of heroin during an inspection of a vehicle arrived in the expressway this morning along with 2 suspects. After further questioning the apprehended suspect, the police was able to apprehend another suspect along with 10 pistols, 19 magazines, 177 kilograms of heroin stored in a house in Bandaragama. The police said that the pistols have been manufactured in Austria, China and Pakistan. Recently transferred special task force officers were also part of the special operation. State Minister Chamal Rajapaksa, Acting IGP Chandana Vikramaratne and other senior officers of the police inspected the captured firearms and the stock of heroin after bringing them to the Northwestern DIG office. Suspicion have been raised that a stock of heroin was smuggled into the country from coastal region in southern part of the country. The suspect, Kalom Indika, was taken into custody over the incident related to the stealing of a 7,000 billion rupee worth diamonds in Eruvilla, Panipitia. Subsequently, 167 kilograms of heroin, more than 3,000 live ammunition and other equipment were recovered from a rented house in Moratuwa on March 11th last year. The police said that the house where the stock of heroin was recovered today was also a house taken taken on rent basis 3 months back. The national ceremony to cultivate barren paddy fields was held at the Madagama paddy fields in Divala, Kegol this morning. The theme of the program is Vaga Saubhagya. The program was initiated under the present government policy to cultivate barren paddy fields. 60 acres of paddy fields in Divala have been selected for the program. These paddy fields have been barren for close for 15 years. The national ceremony was organized by Agrarian Service Department and Agriculture Department. The assistance of the youth was rendered for the pilot project of the program. According to Section 22 of the Agrarian Development Act, the maintenance of the agricultural lands under a proper management is a duty and a responsibility of the landowners and the beneficiaries. State Minister Kanaka Herath and Tarak Barsoriya, state officials and residents were present at this occasion. Many other programs in parallel to the national ceremony were organized around the country. Meanwhile, the purchasing of paddy of Mahaseason in Eastern Province was initiated yesterday. 1 kilogram of Samba and Nadu paddy will be purchased at a price of rate at 50 rupees and 1 kilogram of substandard paddy will be purchased at a price rate of 45 rupees. The purchasing of paddy will be carried out in 53 nominated places in Ampara district. And with that, we conclude tonight news. Do it just tomorrow at the very same time. Good night.
Good night.